Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dan Gheesling. Welcome to episode 9 of the Dan Gheesling podcast. Super excited to jump right in. But first, I want to thank you for dialing in, whether you're running around the block on the treadmill, you're sitting in your cubicle, yeah, maybe you're in transit. Thank you guys for sharing this time. I appreciate it. I hope you guys get some value, entertainment, maybe a little bit of learntum from this. I don't know what learntum is, but we're going to jump in today's episodes. We're going to talk about how my schedule got completely out of whack through no one's fault but my own, and what I'm doing to change it. I'm going to do something a little different on the front end of the show. I'm going to give you guys some opinions on two new games that are out that I've spent some time playing, and one of which kind of led to a demise, but it's a whole different thing. But I'm going to jump right in. So a newish game. It's been out for, actually, let's start with this one. So this past week I did an Assassin's Creed Odyssey bounty. And up until this point, my experience with Assassin's Creed, I've played maybe an hour of the Black Flag one or the ship one. I've just never got into the series for whatever reason. And it's not from a lack of trying. I tried, I don't know if it was a France one or it was a European one. It just wasn't for me. But this bounty came up. And I've been doing, the past 2 weeks, I've done bounties on Friday. But essentially, real quick, what a bounty is, it's a 1 hour sponsored deal through Twitch. And this one was for Assassin's Creed. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. And I almost pulled the plug on it about 10 minutes before I went live on Friday, which is not typically how I do things. I like to have things really planned out and regimented. But I did another longer pre-show Friday stream in which the normal show starts at 1, but on Friday I started at 10 so I could play some other games. But I did it, and I was really glad that I did because I'm good for an open world game maybe one every couple years, like 3 to 5 years, just because it's such open world games become such a time commitment, and once you get one you like, then you're into it for a while. But so I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I was really, really impressed with it because it was open world, but they found a way to kind of circumvent or make part of the issues with open world games a bit more fun, and I'm saying this based off an hour of playtime. But really, what I thought was really cool, they had some, like, not necessarily quick travel, but some interesting things, some gameplay mechanics I'd never seen before. One of which was you can get a wide overview and do some scouting, almost like drone-like, with an eagle in the game. So, in an open world game, you're on the terrain, you may be riding a horse or walking around, but you hit a button and essentially an eagle or some kind of hawk is instantly launched in there. There's no load time or anything like that. So you can do scouting, you can do marking, which I thought was really cool. For whatever reason, I had never seen a gameplay mechanic like that, or at least done so smooth. So it felt like one of the downfalls to me of open world games is it can feel overwhelming at times with so much to do and so many places to travel to. But this kind of made it seem a little bit more accessible. In addition to that, there was another mechanic, and I may have seen it once before in another open world game, maybe Red Dead Redemption. I don't remember which one it was, but there's an element when you get on a horse, you can guide the horse to a road, and you hold the button down and it gets you to the road, and then you hold another button and it will essentially stay on the road for you, so you don't have to worry about managing or traveling through terrain. So I feel like Assassin's Creed Odyssey put in two mechanics, or at least tweaked them enough to make them unique to someone that doesn't play a whole lot of Assassin's Creed games, to make it more accessible and fun. It cut out the non-fun parts of open world game, which to me, there's parts when you enjoy playing an exploration side of the game, which I do at times, but there's times when you just kind of want to mainline, and I felt like when we wanted to mainline, it was very quick to do that. And the characters were pretty engaging, and it was funny, and I mean, it was definitely like, it was rated 18, so there was some moments in it, but the combat felt good, and it was a pleasant surprise because, like I said, I almost didn't do the bounty a few minutes before the show, and I'm like, let's just give it a ride and give it its due day in court, because I actually had heard some pretty good things. So it seemed like there's a lot of depth to it, and the combat was enjoyable. And one of the things I feel like in action games that have been 100% spoiled for me, not spoiled, but maybe my tastes have got so refined that playing any kind of action game, it seems a little dull compared to the combat in Dark Souls. And so really any type of open world action type game, if the combat isn't Dark Souls-esque, it just doesn't seem as fun, whether, you're button mashing or things like that. That's why a game like God of War wasn't really in my palette of what I enjoy to play. So, Assassin's Creed, if you're looking for an open world game, and this is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form, it seems like it would be one I would play with the caveat that I know Red Dead Redemption is coming out. So I think if Red Dead Redemption was not coming out in a month or so or a couple weeks, I think I would probably play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but I know I'm going to want to play Red Dead Redemption. I know that's going to be the open world game. So that's really the only thing that's knocking off me from playing Assassin's Creed. And people will say, why can't you play both? For me, I just have to be so honed in on my time. If I'm going to play an open world game, I got to be all in on it. So that was good. And then the other thing that kind of really decimated my schedule, and I'll get to it, is you guys, if you listen to the podcast, if you listen to previous episodes, I have a deal where I create 10 hours of original content for a TV network called GameTune. And, it's due every 30 days. I have plenty of lead time to do it, except this past month, for whatever reason, I didn't make time for it. So it got to like the due date was about 3 or 4 days away, and I had 10 hours of original content to create. And the way my schedule is, it's pretty tight. So if I'm not streaming, I'm working on my real life business. I'm not at my real life business. I'm at home with family. And, I really have like pared my schedule down really, really tight. And so typically what I do is when I'm done, I normally shut it down for the evening around 10 o'clock at night, maybe 11 o'clock at night from done doing work, and then just kind of, going to bed. But, because I had neglected to plan for the 10 hours of original content, which is for Spider-Man, which I'm going to talk about in a second, what I ended up doing was doing my normal routine, and then I went back to the office from 10 until whatever time, so there would be a couple nights where I got home at like 2 or 3 a.m. And long-term sustainability, not a good thing. It sent a lot of things into a tailspin, which I'm going to talk about after we talk about Spider-Man. So Spider-Man is another game that's been out, I would say like a month, maybe a month and a half. And it's one of those games where it's like, all right, I played God of War. I didn't really care for it so much. And I'm like, okay, let's play the game that GameTune wanted me to play with Spider-Man. And I'm not a big superhero guy. I like the Dark Knight. That's about it. I'm not a big Spider-Man guy, but what they've done with Spider-Man for the PS4, and my opinion, it's probably the best superhero game I've ever played. And I think what they nailed, and I don't know what they did in the meetings or the planning meetings, but they completely nailed you being Spider-Man and traversing through the buildings. So when you traverse the map, the open world map, you swing in between buildings, you have different types of webs, but the best way I can describe it just feels like you're actually Spider-Man. There's no jankiness to it. There's no lagginess. It feels like they've captured the ability to do that. Now, the story is a little wonky, but the gameplay is a lot of fun. The combats, I would say, is like in the mid tier. It's not Dark Soulsy, but there's a little bit of strategy and thought and tacticalness behind it, but it's not like super life or death. But it was a fun game. The 10 hours that I did create of Spider-Man, I enjoyed it. I got really into collecting the different suits. So fashion Spider-Man, I don't know how many suits there are, maybe 30. I think I unlocked 16 of them. But that became the focus. And it just looks so great for a PS4 game. The graphics were amazing, and the detail they put in the suits. That's what I got into in the game. I got into the suit collecting, and the story was kind of a little. I don't say cringe. It was okay. I didn't finish the game, but it got a little. The thing I didn't necessarily. One of the criticisms of the game that I didn't necessarily enjoy was there are certain times throughout the game where you take control of Mary Jane and this other random character where it's not combat based, it's just kind of stealth. But I think to move the story forward, it made sense to put that in there. But I really enjoyed the 10 hours of Spider-Man that I played for GameTune, and it was probably the best GameTune experience outside of Detroit that I had. So if you're looking for another open world game and you have the PS4, I highly recommend it. Really, you can't poke many holes into it. There all the open world tasks, the side quests seemed a lot of fun. They were all very different, and definitely it would be a game that if you're looking to play a game on the PS4, I would highly recommend it. So from enjoying that experience to getting those 10 episodes or those 10 1-hour episodes done in time and uploaded to GameTune, it came at a cost, and it puts a little heat on my personal life in terms of, when you're getting home at 2 or 3 and then you're up at 6 or 7 the next day. It's not a sustainable thing. So it really kind of forced me to take a step back and look at everything. And it just so coincided with, I use this planner, and it's really helped me. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's a planner per se, because I've used a bunch of different planners. I'm not a big, for whatever reason, I need to have a physical planner to kind of help me keep on task. Like Google Calendar doesn't work so much for me. But I feel like I found one that really helps, and I'll tell you which one it is, but I don't want to make it out like it's this like miracle book or anything like that, because it's more so not necessarily the planner that I use, but the reason why I'm using it is what's helped me. But it's called Self Journal by Best Self. And what I like about it and what it's helped me with is at the front end of it, there's a weekly page, and it lists like 5 or 6 habits. And it's extremely regimented and checkbook out. So you look at that page every single day and you check, hey, did I do these 5 or 6 things? And you can see your whole week. And you could easily make that for yourself, but I just like the way that it's laid out. So that's really helped me in the past 3 months, because it's only a 3-month journal. But what's really helped me, a couple things with it. It's helped me stay consistent for the first time ever running and working out. So I set the goal to run 5 days a week, 2 miles a day, and do 100 push-ups a day. I set that goal about halfway through using the planner. And for the first time, like, I did it for 3 months straight. And like I said, it's not necessarily the planner that's in it, but the reason why. There's a couple reasons why. And this is a little bit of fourth wall breaking. But for me, I'm at a point now where I spent 5 or 6 years working on the YouTube channel and Twitch. And you guys know it's growing and it's going very well. But at the same time, I'm in a I have a family, and I have 2 little boys, and I wanted to get to a point where like I had more energy and I wasn't working out, and I still need to work on eating better. But that was really the reason why I'm like, hey, this is why I want to do this, because it's an odd, I don't know if paradigm is the right word, but when you work out, you think you would be more tired and have less energy, but it actually has the inverse effect. So whether you're running, working out, walking, whenever I find myself doing physical activity, I find myself being more energetic, and I wanted to have more energy, for my family, so that, I have more activity around my sons. I'm enjoying that. And so that was the reason why. And so I don't want to make it seem like this planner was the answer, but I think it was just a combination of the reason why I'm using it. And it's helped me with a lot of other things, but I'm at a point now where I've reset the habits I'm doing, because I'm on a new 3-month cycle. And so one of the ones that I'm doing, or one of the things that I've added, is that I have this underlying, not necessarily fear. Fear is not the right word, but I operate in a world where, especially with Twitch and the gaming side of things, Twitch, I'm dependent. I don't want to say dependent, but the revenue for the gaming business is, I would say it's definitely not 90% dependent, but it's heavily dependent on Twitch. And so for me, I think of operating this business in a lack of control, right? I have no control over Twitch, and anything could happen. Now, I'm not saying Twitch is going to fold its doors or anything like that, but it's just not necessarily like a position I'm used to being in, or a position that I like being in. However, it's a position that I understand what it is, right? So there's under no point in time am I ever going to have ownership or any control over Twitch. So for me, I'm always looking at a way to diversify and continue to grow things, having Twitch be the center of it, but also things around it, which is why you guys hear me talk about every single week how I'm how I'm still continuing to find ways to best use YouTube, to best create content on YouTube that people want to see, because I'll just never abandon that platform, because I don't ever want to go all in on one platform, right? It doesn't make a ton of sense. Even though Twitch is amazing, I don't ever see it going anywhere. You just never know, right? Like YouTube went through the time with the adpocalypse, things went wrong for a while, but then they were fixed. And I don't know, Twitch could take away Prime subs tomorrow, and it would have a huge impact on the revenue for the business. But for me, it's always a long-term game. So when I talk about, diversifying things, to tie this all back to the planner, one of the 5 habits I'm now focused on for the next 3 months is posting a gaming video 7 days a week. And when I say gaming video, it's going to be a quick highlight on my Instagram. Because to me, that's a very, I don't want to say underpriced, but there's a lot of room to grow there. And I kind of, right now, the way I look at things is you need these pipelines that will help feed the Twitch show, to bring new people in, to expose it, to connect with people that are already a part of the show community, that are on Instagram. And so I'm really going to be focusing on that in terms of like the next 3 months. Just like I run 5 days a week, it's going to be 7 days a week of a video post on Instagram. And it's going to take maybe 15, 20 minutes a day, but I just feel it's that important. It's one of those things like YouTube where you throw different things against the wall, see what works. But the point is you're executing on it and having an opportunity to analyze what is working, what is not. You know, I'm sure there'll be some Call of Duty Black Ops videos on there. I'm sure there's going to be some Tarkov videos. And when I say videos, Instagram is a totally different format than YouTube or Twitch. So I'm having Zane, the editor, and he's been doing this, so we have a backlog of them, is when he's been editing the Tarkov videos. I'm like, hey, just pull a 60-second clip for me. And so I can use some of those. And then ideally what I've done, the few that I've done on Instagram so far, I will just pull a quick Twitch clip. There's 2 programs on my phone I use to edit it, and it probably takes me, once I know what Twitch clip I'm using, probably takes me 8 minutes to put it together, tag it on Instagram. So that's something I'm going to be checking back in with you guys, and definitely over the next 3 months, so 90 times 7. So when we come back to the podcast 3 months from now, 90 times 7, I should have 540, 90 times 7, 630 Instagram videos. So let me check in a month with you on that one. But that's the goal. That's the focus, because like I said, I know I need to continue to grow different pipelines to help feed the show and feed the growth of everything. So that's one of the big things. And the other thing that it's helped me with is, you know, and this kind of all stems from this 10-hour squeeze in on 3 days for the Spider-Man content, because it really sent a lot of things into a tailspin for me. And the other thing it put me in a tailspin is like, I need to continue to put more efforts into getting additional help on the show. So what I've just did prior to, well, 2 things have just happened. One, I was getting in a position with YouTube where Zane had all these videos edited. They're waiting to be uploaded. And I was so hectic with my time, I didn't even get them to upload. So all of a sudden the YouTube schedule got inconsistent. There weren't videos up every single day at 8 a.m. So I took a step back. I'm like, all right, Zane, here, I'm giving you the keys to the 2009 Ford Escape. And what I did was I gave him back-end access to the YouTube channel. So now Zane edits the videos, uploads them, and puts a thumbnail up, and I'll do a real quick once over, tag them, just put the description in, and publish them. So as of today, which is Monday morning for you guys, but Sunday when I'm recording this, all the videos for the week are set, which is an amazing feeling, because there was times when, you know, I would come in to the office and be like, was there a video set today? So once again, it's just trying something new, you know, and giving more trust and control to Zane, which is, I think, a general theme, what I need to do. Ideally, what I'm working towards, and it takes a while, and even stuff with Zane has taken a while, is just that getting things to a position in the business and the creative side of things where I'm creating. I'm not doing administrative stuff where, you know, someone like Zane, who's very good at editing and, you know, is shown to be a really hard worker and really capable and willing to do that stuff. I got to kind of let some of that go to make more time to create. And I feel like that's and interact with the community. So instead of me adminning out videos, it gives me more time to interact in Discord, more time to interact in the comments, more time to create content, you know, more time to focus on getting stuff on Instagram. And so that's where my focus is right now. And that's what I'm physically doing. Like this next week. So when I check in with you guys next Monday, it'll be the week of Zane, you know, like I'd like to give him even more control in giving him publishing, you know, rights or just saying, hey, schedule these videos out for these time. We're not there yet. I want to see how this week goes, but I'm very, the time that's been freed and kind of the weight off the shoulders has been amazing. So I'm really glad that, you know, and part of it for me was just being comfortable in the position, saying, hey, like, take a step back and let go. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be exactly how you want it, but that's okay. 85% is better than 0%. And I'm not saying Zane does 85% work. He does incredible work, but for where I'm trying to take this thing and where I'm trying to grow, I'm going to need to continue to bring more people in and to give them, you know, a level of trust and control. And that's kind of where I'm at now, where someone like Zane, the editor, you know, you have 100% trust, you know, 100% trust, and I'm not waiting. But if he does something to lose it, then that's a different story. But I just don't see that happening, as opposed to how I used to operate. I would operate and be like, okay, well, hey, look, you know, Zane has to earn this trust. I'm just like, nah, just turn it over and let's see what happens. And so far I've been really pleasantly surprised, and you know, as the team continues to build, and you know, that's how I'm going to operate. It's going to take someone, they're going to have to lose the trust to not necessarily have to gain it. And that's not natural for me. You know, it's something I'm forcing myself to do. And I think it's going to work out because I'm an optimistic individual. So that's been a huge help on the back end. Also, I just reached out to the moderators in my Twitch channel. I need it's probably like 10 minutes of help on the back end of every show. I put together a quick tutorial video of what I need. So I put that out to the moderators and see if any moderators are willing to help me. And that's one of the things I like to do, because over time, like, I know that as this continues to grow, I'm going to need to bring people on. And there's certain things I'm more than happy to compensate for, and certain things that I'm not. And so basically what I'm looking for in either a moderator, and then if a moderator doesn't pick it up, I'm going to open it up to the community, is I need some help just doing some highlights and Twitch clips on the back end. It literally takes about 10 to 15 minutes at the end of every show. But I'm looking for someone to volunteer to do that, and here's why. It will allow me to turn off the show and like immediately work on the next thing, as opposed to doing that admin type thing. But what that means is that as the team continues to grow, if someone who volunteers to do that, does a good job at it, takes it seriously, they're going to be the next person I look to when it's time for someone to hire. And I think it's just a matter of time. So that's kind of like my internal thoughts. And because I can't really justify right now paying someone for, you know, 10, 15 minutes of work. And I know people are going to have different, you know, thoughts on that. But this is someone who's going to work real closely with me, I think, in the future. And so we'll see how that goes. But, you know, some people be, well, Dan, why don't you pay that person? I could, but it's almost counterproductive as to why I'm looking for that person. I'm looking for someone who wants to do a good job and is invested, because the money stuff will come later. But I know that rules a lot of people out, right? So it's someone that has to have the money isn't necessarily someone that I would want to work on it, because I would rather them have themselves be in a position where they do it for fun as opposed to for money. I don't know if that makes sense or if I'm explaining it right, but that's kind of my psyche in how I approach that. So that fourth wall has also been broken. Outside of that, in terms of YouTube, the best video of the past week, I shot a Squadron 42 reaction video, which in my opinion, in terms of the effort of YouTube videos to views, this is the lowest tier amount of effort, right? You're doing a reaction video. I did a reaction video on a trailer, and that was the most viewed video of the week. Now, of course, you're going to sprinkle in the Squadron 42 Star Citizen aspect. There's a lot of people on the channel who want to see that kind of stuff, so that makes it a lot easier. But it's just funny to me how when you throw stuff at the wall, you guys will hear me say this time and time again, the lowest effort stuff sometimes do the best. And stuff you work really hard on, it doesn't work out. And so, you know, that really just, in the back of my head, it's like, okay, I need to be doing something like this per week. Now, it may not be always Star Citizen reaction videos, but it may be a reaction video to patch notes of Tarkov. It may be a reaction to how I'm excited for the Reigns Game of Thrones edition of that game coming out, but just something really quick and just natural, where it's, you know, like something that I'm generally fired up about that I want to share, probably has a place on YouTube, and it's evident by the reaction to that video on the channel. Which also, you know, you guys hear me talk about a lot on YouTube, how I'm always tinkering and trying to figure things out. One of the things I noticed I haven't been, which I talked on the front end, is consistent. So there's so many variables that go into the quote-unquote success of YouTube. And when there's a lot of variables that aren't consistent, it's hard to pinpoint what that is. So, you know, we can look at the Tarkov videos and say year over year, the views are down. But at the same time, there hasn't been a video out every single day at 8 a.m., you know, in probably 3 months since I went full bore into Twitch. And so I think it's just a process. You know, when I look back at everything, like you go full bore into Twitch, you only have so much time and effort into a day. When I went full bore into Twitch and full Twitch mode, naturally other things are going to fall off. So now that I'm full bore into Twitch, I look back and say, okay, these things that have fallen off, where can I bring help on to help bring that back up? And I think it's just full circle, and there's no manual on how to do this, and that's the fun part about it. Things are going to work and things that aren't, but this next week will be the most, it's not will be, it automatically is the most consistent week of videos on the YouTube channel. I'm excited to see how things are going because as I mentioned earlier, as of this second, all the videos are done, uploaded, tagged, everything for the week, which is amazing. Another thing that happened this past week, we did our last PUBG Unity stream. So we stream Tuesday nights for Team Unity and we play PUBG, and Black Ops 4 came out, which has a battle royale mode called Blackout. And I think we all got to a point where it was, and it wasn't even being said, but you could just feel it. And I feel like people who watch the Tuesday night streams could feel it, where I don't know, the magic wasn't gone, but people meaning the four of us, myself, Melf, Last Girl Wolf, and Northern Line, were at a point where like, all right, I think we're all kind of tired of PUBG for why. I think everyone has a wide range of differences. And I feel like the Team Unity streams declined a little bit in a lot of different ways. And so we essentially, it wasn't planned or anything, but it just kind of evolved into, hey, this is the PUBG send off. And so starting this Tuesday, we're going to be trying Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Blackout mode. So I'm hoping that, people are fired up about that. And it's such a unique group because there's so many different tastes or draws to different games. And it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited for it. And it's going to be a new experience. And I'm excited to see how that goes this upcoming Tuesday. And outside of that, I did talk about, I started a new planner. And one of the things, the new planner, I'm jumping around a little bit here. These are some end notes that popped up. One of the things that you have to do with this planner is you have to set 3 goals, and they're kind of your big goals. And the big Twitch goal, I went back and I reset it to a number. And one of the podcasts we talked about is how I set the number goal and it wasn't the right goal. But I rethought about it because I started, what I wrote down from the gaming business goal was to continue to grow the channel. And that's not very specific. It's not measurable at all. And so I've kind of come full circle. And this is, anyone that knows me, anyone that's worked with me or next to me or for me, know that like I'll change my mind on a dime based on what's going on or after analyzing a situation. And so for me, when I wrote that down as one of my 3 goals, I'm like, this isn't a good goal because I can't measure it. I can't do anything about it. So I actually went ahead and set another aggressive Twitch subscriber goal. And the reason why I did that is because underneath the Twitch subscriber goal, it's a list of things you have to do, or you come up with a list of things you have to do to help get you to that point. And that list of things is physical items. And one of those physical items is posting 7 times a week on Instagram, 7 videos. So it gives you, by having another subscriber goal on Twitch, it allows me to physically have to do things to do that. And I went back and forth about it because I knew I was going to talk about it here, and people are going to be like, well, wait, Dan, you said that you didn't want to have a figure goal or a monetary goal. And it's not so much that it's a monetary goal, but it's a goal that's measurable. And so that's a big thing for me. That was one of the, so kind of so I have a new big subscriber goal, and then the action items underneath it that I created for it were, I put YouTube feeding Twitch. So I become more consistent on a weekly basis on YouTube. That's something that can be physically measured. Instagram presence, 1 video per day. That's something that's going to be measured. And then the third thing, because I talked earlier about the diversification, is in the next 3 months, I'm going to have my website revamped. And I'm not going to go super deep in terms of the revamping of it, but it needs, right now, if you go to dangheesling.com, it leads to dangheesling.tv. And really, there's no set strategy or any sort of coherent messaging or coherent anything there. And part of it is because I need to understand, I haven't put enough thought into it, but I know that it needs to be done. So this is one of those things in the next 3 months that I'm going to tweak that will help with everything. So that's kind of, the 3-month goal and what I need to do there, and continuing to open these pipelines that will continue to feed the show is all part of what I've been working on. And, with this podcast, it's already become ingrained in terms of the scheduling for it. So it's not even something I'm tracking now because it's just, hey, Sunday or Saturday or Friday comes along, I need to schedule and get the episode up. And this has been a little bit scattered of an episode, but I feel like it's been a great synopsis or a great glimpse into what the past week has been. It's been a really kind of random, hectic week. And I think to me, it reminded me of the dangers of if I don't have a set plan, or if something gets out of whack, or if I know there's something big coming up and I don't sit down and take time to track it and plan it out, things can get crazy very quick. And I feel like that's something I'm self-aware about myself, is that I don't, it's ironic because I don't do well improvising on a daily time basis. I'm absolutely terrible at it, and I'm aware of that. However, I feel like on a creative side, when the show's live or when I'm doing a video, I feel like when I plan stuff out, it's not good, and when I improvise stuff, it's very good. So I think it's something that's just kind of hit me. But I can improvise creatively, but I 1,000,000% cannot improvise on a structural or schedule basis. And I think that's the theme that I need to continue with moving forward, is just keeping that in mind and reacting and planning based on that. And so for me, this planner is attached to my hip. If you're watching live on YouTube, I'm going to hold it up. It's really kind of an ugly planner, but for me, it works, and we're going to leave it at that. So... All right, so now we're going to transition into the question of the week. This one came from Sean recently on the YouTube comments, Sean S. And this was a comment that he put on the random Saturday question vlog I threw out there last week. And this is what he said he would like to see on the channel. He said, "Love your solo stuff, but I think collaborations would be really good. Not just with other people like NL either. One of my favorite things about your channel used to be duo PUBG. You forced other people to open up and talk, which was the interesting part. Maybe you can do something in that game, and would you consider doing it with a couple videos? You'd have fresh content with someone new, and they would have opportunity to get some publicity." So this is one of the things I used to do. I used to play PUBG with random duos, and I would talk to them. We'd have a good time. And, I ended up playing with a wide range of people, and everyone from like a lumberjack to a dude that worked on oil rigs to someone that got kidnapped in Venezuela, and just pulled out all these random crazy questions. And I feel like there wasn't a game that allowed for that to happen outside of PUBG. However, with Call of Duty Black Ops 4 coming out, I could see that there's an opportunity for that. And this week on the stream, I'm going to be playing some Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and that'll be the opportunity to see if it's going to go. So it's something like this is always in the back of my head, having the opportunity to play with random players and get to know them. I think it makes for a unique scenario, and you never know what you're going to get, which I think is a lot of fun. But a lot of it is based on two things. One, will the flow of the game allow for that sort of conversation to happen? And two, how is the community for the game? And, is it going to be a meme conversation, M-E-M-E, or is it going to be an interesting conversation where someone's willing to chat? There's only one way to find out. We're going to find out this week during the Twitch streams Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But Sean, thank you so much for the question. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys want your question answered on the podcast, feel free to tweet me at Dan Gheesling and, say, hey, podcast question, or you can go to dangheesling.tv/ask, and you can leave a voicemail question for the show if you're so inclined. It's super easy, dangheesling.tv/ask. With that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, it was definitely, I'm going to mark episode 9 as the scatterbrain episode, and I feel like it was an accurate representation of the past week. And that's the whole point of the podcast, to give you guys some insight, to dial in and know, hey, it may look on the outside like things are under control, but sometimes they're completely out of whack. And I think that there's value in that, value in learning about that, value in seeing that, you just got to dig it out and find a way and get back on track. So, but anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. And actually, I'm gonna throw this out at you. If you're on Twitter, tweet me what you got from this podcast, whether it was escapism, you got a laugh, you learned something, or it even invoked a question. Tweet me at Dan Gheesling. I'll be looking for it. Use hashtag DG9, And that's how I know you listen to the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next week.